You're watching Daybreak here on Arise News. It's time for the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they come in. We'll begin with our sister publication, This Day newspaper. Its leading headline this morning: FEC approves 27.5 trillion naira appropriation bill for 2024. Some writers to that story: revises exchange rates to 750 naira to the dollar, and oil benchmark now $77. OK's 1 billion Africa Development Bank concessionary loan. Oyedele-led tax reforms committee briefs FEC. Council approves Nigeria's draft human rights report to the UN. Meanwhile, President Tinubu will present 2024 appropriation bill to National Assembly tomorrow. Abbas says will give Nigerians avenue to participate in budget process. The leading photo for this day, this morning, with the caption, signing of MOU with the French government. That brings us to the headline at the very top, as Zenith Bank and the French government sign an MOU to establish a subsidiary in France. And just below that, Melek Kiara returns as NNPC's GCEO. Meanwhile, Akinyelure becomes new board chairman. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ariwola, says unnecessary cases are overstretching the judiciary. We need alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. He was making this statement yesterday while declaring open the 2023-2024 legal year of the Supreme Court, and also conferring SANship to 58 lawyers. It also says nation can't import foreign laws to try local cases, and the federal government is also charging the NJC to fast-track appointment processes. That's This Day this morning.
Well, the Punch has on its front page photographs of the 8 new permanent secretaries taking their oaths of office yesterday before the commencement of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. But the major story on the front page this morning: Tinubu presents Budget Wednesday. FEC OK's $1 billion loan. Federal government targets 18 trillion naira revenue. Raises exchange rate benchmark from 700 naira to the dollar to $750 to the naira. And Speaker, opposition lawmakers assure Nigerians of proper budget screening to grill ministers. This we are here for. We'll wait to see that. Above the masthead: attack on judges. Public sentiments can't displace law. That's according to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, as well as the Nigeria Bar Association, the umbrella body for lawyers in the country. Best to succeed Obaseki, Shuaibu declares. And Tinubu names Akinyelure NNPC chair, reappoints Kiari as CEO. These and many others make it to the front page of the Punch this morning.
The Punch Sports Extra. The Punch. We have the coach of Nigeria Super Eagles, NFF, Pesay. Oh, well, that's a play with words. Pesay go. NFF considering replacing Eagles coach with local Gaffer after team sports start to the World Cup qualifiers. Then, of course, today is Tuesday. You're talking Champions League qualifiers. Rossoneri target back-to-back wins. That is Milan versus Dortmund. And first, battle second in Group G. That is Man City versus Leipzig. You have PSG versus Newcastle. Newcastle walloped PSG when they went to England 4-1. Parisians face Magpies in Group of Death. Osimhen still keen on Chelsea move. Oshoala and Nadozie make CAF Award final shortlist. And Garnacho revels in stunning overhead kick. What a wonderful goal this young man scored. And then Chelsea won't sack coach Pochettino. That's for the Punch Sports Extra.
The Daily Independent this morning, its lead story on the front page: how dispatch error landed Abuja-bound flight in Asaba. NCAA suspends wet-leased aircraft in United Nigeria. and experts say aviation regulators' action is in order. Another headline on the front page of the Daily Independent: the federal government raises 2024 budget to 27.5 trillion naira, presents it to the National Assembly tomorrow. Also, to increase tax revenue to GDP ratio to 18%, also looks to get budget support loan of $1 billion from the Africa Development Bank. Israel-Hamas truce in Gaza extended 2 days under deal. Meanwhile, protests rocks Kanu after appeal court judgment on Guba elections. The government says they will install 3.23 billion naira explosive narcotic detection devices in 5 airports.
The Daily Trust leads with comments from the Chief Justice of Nigeria. He says will never be overwhelmed by mob. Judges must avoid embarrassing judiciary, says Yadudu. And courts deciding election winners bad for polity, says PDP elders. And the paper is also focusing on developments across the 3 tiers of government. It has a breakdown this morning, says states, local governments cry for development despite sharing 8.8 trillion naira in 2 years. I guess the question is, where does all that money go? On some other stories this morning, FEC raises 2024 budget as Tinubu presents 27.5 trillion naira tomorrow. Fresh protest hits Kano over governorship dispute as police arrests 7. And Tinubu reappoints Kyari as NNPCL GCEO, names Akinyelure board chair.
All right, let's look at the Vanguard. Vanguard has on its front page, justices fight back. We can't replace law with emotions. The CGN is saying that, but about 7 or 8 writers, I just take 1 or 2 or 3, says judges won't be afraid of intimidation with independence. CJN's confession of external influences, troubling. This is from Atiku's aide. Adds rule of law in Nigeria, questionable since 1999, and discloses that NJC ready to receive petitions against election tribunal judges. Let's look at some other stories there. ASU Konwa warned government against universities, say existing ones more nourished. FEC votes 3.23 billion naira for explosives, narcotics detection scanners in 5 airports. There you see a picture of Oba of Benin, Omo Noba Nedo Uku Bolo Bolo Oba Iware the second, receiving an Eyo effigy from the governor of Lagos State. And beside that, appeal court judgment, protest rocks parts of Kano, diversion, NCAA grounds, United Nigeria Airlines wet leased aircraft. An appeal court sacks Kaduna Speaker, orders rerun in 5 polling stations. Tinubu reappoints Mele Kyari at the top. Then on recapitalization, banks are ready. Judicial decisions can affect FBI from the CBN governor. And FG jacks up 2024 budget to 27.5 trillion naira.
All right, The Guardian Nigeria this morning, taking a look at a $1 trillion economy. Says federal government proceeds with unambitious budget, proposes 27.5 trillion naira next year. Breakdown of that budget: revenue 18 trillion naira, deficit 9 trillion. Those are some of the 2024 key estimates. Inflation at 21.4%, economic growth at 3.76%. Oil price $77. If you want to take a look at more key estimates, get a copy of The Guardian Nigeria. More headlines. You bet the Universal Basic Education Commission bemoans shortage of teachers and 100 billion naira yearly funding. Despite warning, protests in Kano over Court of Appeal ruling, and the CJN seeks amendment for termination of most cases at appeal court. Well,
from The Guardian Nigeria, let's do a quick flip to The Guardian UK. The Guardian UK's front page is dominated by the news of a temporary ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. It says it has been extended by 48 hours. While the pause in fighting, which has seen hostages released in return for Palestinians detained in Israeli prisons, had been due to expire after 4 days. And the paper notes that the UN Secretary General has hailed the extension as a glimpse of hope.
All right, let's look at the Daily Mirror. Daily Mirror, it has on its front page, 1 million deal ends legal battle. Star asked after leaking of his X-rated show rant, gets apology and cash. David Williams has settled a bitter legal fight with Britain's Got Talent over his leaks X-rated jibes. That's what you're seeing there. Britain's got to pay Williams.
The Financial Times this morning. Elon Musk meeting, extension to truce in Gaza. Elon Musk, remember, toured Israeli kibbutz with Netanyahu after agreeing with anti-Semitic post. More headlines from the Financial Times this morning. Turkey's soaring exports of war-linked goods to Russia tests ties with NATO allies. The trade routes, they say, evade controls and bid to choke assault on Ukraine falters. U.S. sends envoy to Ankara. Also, another headline from the Financial Times this morning. Pack a burner phone for Hong Kong. Deloitte and KPMG tell consultants.
It's a gloomy outlook on the front page of the newspaper this morning for people with mortgages. It reports on warnings from the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey that the base interest rate of 5.2%, which informs what lenders charge as interest on housing loans, is not likely to come down anytime soon. Inflation in the UK is still more than double the 2% target set by the government. And the headline reads, interest rates will stay high into 2025, says economists.
The Daily Mail. Royal book bombshell. Omid Scobie claims a cold Princess of Wales is a part-time royal, belittles Charles as inept, and says William stonewalls Harry. Last night, appalled royal sources said new book is simply poisonous. That's why you're seeing that headline there.
Okay, let's take a look at the Times this morning. It says Hamas demands higher price to set soldiers free. Israel in talks to secure more hostages. Liberty as truce in Gaza is extended for 2 more days. And legal advice warns Prime Minister Rishi Sunak off full-fat Rwanda plan. That's the Times.
And do we have the Daily Express? Well, it's been taken. Okay, Daily Express leads with this headline, time for bank chief who talks Britain up. Well, the Daily Express reports that some Tory MPs are frustrated at Andrew Bailey for talking down the economy. Its front page is calling for a Bank of England governor who talks Britain up, in quote. Mr. Bailey warned the potential for growth in the UK is lower than it has been in much of his working life.
Now, this next story in Metro, this is very heart-wrenching, really. Trans teenager murder trial obsessed. Now listen to this. It said French age 15 preoccupied with torture, violence and death. Court told girl first tried to kill Brianna, 16, with overdose of painkillers. Boy bought a hunting knife. Girl had blade as sharp as Sweeney Todd's. Pair lured her to park and stabbed her 28 times with force that even damaged the bones. This is quite horrific, and both teenagers deny murder and blame each other for horrific killing. What a sad story there.
That's all the papers we have this morning, and that's the press preview. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. You can follow us on Twitter at Arise TV.